There is a shadow that moves silently in the lives of so many people, a shadow that lingers even in the brightest rooms and the most joyful laughter, a shadow that slips behind the smile you wear for the world and hides deep within your chest. That shadow has a name, but it rarely reveals itself honestly. It masquerades as anxieties, depression, as fatigue, as hopelessness. It cloaks itself in silence and tells you it is only you, only your weakness, only your fault. But beloved, I am here to tell you that there are forces that operate in darkness, spirits that seek to destroy the light in you, and they wear the garments of mental anguish so you will never notice they are there. Demons hide behind anxiety and depression because they know these feelings are real, these struggles are human, and they know you will turn inward, blaming yourself, while they stand in the shadows pulling the strings. When your chest tightens and your thoughts spiral late at night, when you wake up feeling heavy and unworthy of the very breath you breathe, when the mirror seems like an enemy and every task feels like a mountain too steep to climb, there is a whisper in the dark. It is soft at first, barely noticeable, a whisper that says, "You will never be enough." And you think it's you think it's just a part of who you are. That whisper grows louder each day, feeding on your silence, your isolation, your fear. That whisper does not come from your soul. It comes from an enemy who is terrified of the light inside you, an enemy who knows that if you ever see yourself clearly, if you ever truly rise, no darkness could stand against you. Demons hide in depression because it convinces you to stop fighting. They hide in anxiety because it keeps you so distracted with racing thoughts that you never pause long enough to notice who is planting those thoughts. They thrive in your confusion because confusion is the absence of clarity, and clarity brings power. You see, these dark forces are cunning. They do not march boldly into your life announcing themselves with horns and smoke. No, they creep in through familiar doorways, through heartbreak, through rejection, through the words of someone who told you that you weren't worth loving. They come in through trauma, through grief, through the disappointments that break your spirit, and they settle into your mind like uninvited guests who never planned to leave. They whisper lies over and over until you believe them. You are alone, you are broken, you will never heal. And once you believe them, they no longer have to whisper. You will say those lies to yourself. You will repeat them every day until they become the language of your own mind. And that is their victory, when they no longer have to fight you because you are fighting yourself. But oh my dear, what those demons fear most is the moment you stop and recognize the truth. They are not you. They are not your thoughts. They are not your identity. They are not your destiny. You are not anxiety. You are not depression. Those are battles you are facing, not definitions of who you are. The moment you understand that, the moment you dare to speak the truth that you are more than this pain, you strip those demons of their hiding place. They cannot survive in the light of truth. That is why they fight so hard to keep you silent, to keep you isolated, to make you ashamed of what you are feeling. Because if you ever opened your mouth and spoke your truth, if you ever reached out and asked for help, if you ever turned to God with your trembling voice and said, "I need you," they would tremble. Anxiety feels so overwhelming because it fills your mind with endless what ifs. It keeps you running like a mouse in a wheel, spinning and spinning but never moving forward. That is not by accident. That is strategy. If the enemy can keep you so consumed with imagined futures, you will never be present enough to notice the blessings you have right now. Depression, on the other hand, drags you backward, burying you in memories of pain, regret, and loss, until you can't even see the possibility of a tomorrow. One force pushes you endlessly forward into fear. The other pulls you endlessly backward into despair. And both are designed to keep you from standing firmly in the present moment where God's voice is clearest. That is why demons love these disguises. They know the power you hold when you are grounded in the now. They know what happens when you pause and breathe and realize that the same God who woke you up this morning has a plan for you that no darkness can erase. I know what it is to feel like you are drowning in thoughts that will not stop. I know what it is to feel so tired you cannot even explain why. So heavy you cannot remember what lightness feels like. But I also know what it is to rise from that pit. And rising does not always mean that the feelings vanish overnight. Sometimes rising is simply refusing to let the darkness define you. Sometimes it is whispering to yourself, "I am still here," even when your voice shakes. Sometimes it is getting out of bed when everything in you screams to stay under the covers. That small act of defiance is holy. It is a declaration to the forces of darkness that you will not surrender. Every breath you take in those moments is an act of rebellion. There are some who will tell you that anxiety and depression are only chemical, only physical, only something for doctors and pills to fix. And yes, there are biological realities at play. And there is no shame in seeking help, no shame in therapy or medication. Those are gifts from God, tools He has placed in our path. But there is also a spiritual layer, a hidden battleground that too many people ignore. If you only treat the physical symptoms and never address the spiritual roots, the darkness will simply find another doorway. That is why prayer matters. That is why speaking truth matters. That is why surrounding yourself with people who lift you up matters. Demons cannot thrive in a space filled with love, filled with praise, filled with voices that remind you of who you are. When you feel yourself sinking, speak life over yourself. Even when you do not believe the words, speak them anyway. Say, "I am chosen." Say, I am loved. Say, I am more than what I feel, because your words are weapons. The enemy wants you silent because a silent warrior is a defeated warrior. Speak even through tears. Speak even through trembling. Your voice carries a power you cannot yet see. And when you speak, you are not only calling light into your own darkness, you are weakening the very spirits that seek to destroy you. There will be people who do not understand what you are fighting. They will tell you to just cheer up, to just calm down, to just get over it. Do not let their ignorance wound you further. They do not know the depth of the battle, and you do not owe them an explanation. Your journey is sacred. Your healing is between you, your God, and those who truly love you. Sometimes healing requires setting boundaries, walking away from toxic people who keep you trapped in cycles of pain. And yes, sometimes those people are family, sometimes they are friends you've known for years. It hurts to release them, but your soul is worth protecting. The demons that hide behind your anxiety and depression often use other people as their messengers. Do not mistake the vessel for the source. Forgive the person, but fight the spirit behind their words. Every tear you have cried, every night you have lain awake feeling like you were not enough, has not been wasted. Those tears are seeds, and when they fall to the ground, God gathers them. He does not let them vanish. There will come a day when the very things that tried to destroy you will become the soil for your greatest growth. You will look back and see that you were never abandoned, never truly alone, even in your darkest hours. The same demons that mocked you will one day watch as you rise higher than they ever thought possible. Your survival is their defeat. When you feel anxiety creeping in, pause and breathe deeply. Place your hand on your chest and remember that you are more than this racing heartbeat. When depression tells you that you are worthless, speak out loud that you are a masterpiece, fearfully and wonderfully made. When your thoughts become a storm, find stillness in prayer. Even if all you can say is, God, help me, say it. There is power in that simple plea. You do not need eloquent words. You do not need perfect faith. You only need a willing heart. The world will try to convince you that your value comes from your productivity, your appearance, your achievements. That is a lie. You are valuable simply because you exist, because you carry within you the breath of the divine. Demons hide behind anxiety and depression because they want you to forget that truth. They want you so consumed by fear and sadness that you never step into your purpose. But purpose cannot be erased by pain. It can be delayed, yes, it can be hidden for a season. But it cannot be destroyed. There is a light in you even now. You may not see it. You may feel like it is only a flicker, barely holding on. But that light is eternal. It cannot be extinguished by the darkness that surrounds you. Your job is to protect it, to nurture it, to feed it with words of hope and acts of courage. And when the darkness whispers that you are alone, remember this: there are countless others fighting the same hidden battle. You are part of a great army of survivors, warriors who rise every day despite the weight on their shoulders. When you choose to keep going, you are not only saving yourself, you are lighting the path for others who have lost their way. So today I invite you to see your anxiety and depression not as proof of weakness, but as proof of your strength. If demons are hiding behind these feelings, it is because they know the greatness you carry. They would not fight so hard to break you if you were not a threat to their kingdom. The very fact that you are struggling is evidence that you are powerful beyond measure. Do not give them the victory of silence. Speak, pray, reach out, fight. And when you are too tired to fight, rest in the knowledge that there is one who fights for you. You are still here for a reason. The darkness has not won. It never will. You are light wrapped in human form, and though the night may be long, the dawn is coming. Hold on. Believe that you are worth saving, because you are. And when you rise, as you surely will, let your story become a beacon for others lost in the same storm. Let them see through you that healing is possible, that freedom is real, that even the most cunning demons cannot hide forever. Keep breathing, keep speaking, keep standing. For though anxiety may tremble your hands and depression may bend your back, your spirit was built to rise. And rise you shall, even when the world seems unbearably heavy and your own thoughts feel like chains around your soul. Remember this: no storm lasts forever, and no night has ever succeeded in stopping the dawn. You have walked through seasons that tried to break you. You have endured nights of sleeplessness where fear and despair clawed at your mind like relentless beasts, and yet you are still here. That alone is a testimony of your strength. The demons that hide behind your anxiety and depression would have you believe that you are weak, fragile, incapable of victory. But let me remind you, if you were truly powerless, they would not work so tirelessly to keep you bound. Their very persistence in haunting you is proof that there is something inside of you they fear, a destiny so radiant that they must do everything in their power to distract, deceive, and destroy you before you see it for yourself. Anxiety and depression often speak with voices that sound like your own, and that is why they are so convincing. They do not shout in foreign tongues or appear as monstrous figures from the shadows. They whisper in familiar tones, weaving lies into the very fabric of your thoughts until you can no longer distinguish their voice from your own. They tell you that you are a burden, that no one would understand, that it is better to stay silent, better to hide, better to suffer alone than risk the shame of being seen. And so, many carry their pain in silence, smiling on the outside while a war rages within. That silence becomes the enemy's greatest weapon. Because what is unspoken cannot be healed, and what is hidden cannot be brought into the light. Demons thrive in silence like mold in darkness. The moment you speak, the moment you bring your pain into the open, the chains begin to loosen. There is courage in confession, not weakness. There is strength in admitting that you are struggling, because when you do, you are saying to the darkness, you do not get to control my narrative anymore. There are people who will hear your truth and feel their own chains break, because you were brave enough to speak first. Your vulnerability might be the very thing that saves someone else's life. Do not underestimate the ripple effect of your survival. When you rise, others rise with you, even those you may never meet. But let me tell you, the demons know this, and so they will fight hard to keep you isolated. They will use fear to keep you quiet, shame to keep you hidden, and hopelessness to convince you that it's not even worth trying. They will feed you lies about your worth, whispering that you are too broken to be loved, too flawed to be healed, too far gone to be saved. Those lies may sound convincing because they echo your deepest insecurities, but they are lies nonetheless. The truth, the unshakable, undeniable truth, is that you are loved beyond comprehension, you are valuable beyond measure, and you are never too broken for God to restore. Sometimes the hardest battles are not the ones we fight with others, but the ones we fight within ourselves. Anxiety turns your own mind into a battlefield, every thought an explosion, every heartbeat a reminder of your fears. Depression, on the other hand, drains the very color from your world, leaving everything gray and lifeless. Together they create a prison that feels inescapable. But there is always a key, always a way out, even if you cannot see it yet. That key often begins with one small step, one decision to keep moving forward even when you feel like giving up. Healing does not always come in a sudden burst of light. Sometimes it comes in tiny flickers, moments of grace that seem insignificant until you look back and realize they were guiding you all along. Every time you choose to keep living, you are defying the darkness. Every time you take a breath, even when breathing feels painful, you are declaring, I am still here. And sometimes being still here is enough. The demons may hide behind your anxiety and depression, but they cannot hide from the one who created you. God sees through every disguise, every mask, every lie. He knows the exact battles you face, even the ones you have never spoken aloud. And while the enemy seeks to isolate you, God seeks to draw you near. You may feel unworthy of his love, but his love is not earned. It is freely given, unconditional, unrelenting. Even when you feel faithless, he remains faithful. There is a reason that the darkness targets your mind. Your mind is the control center of your life, the place where your beliefs, choices, and actions are born. If the enemy can capture your thoughts, he can steer your life without ever touching your body. That is why anxiety and depression are such effective tools. They attack the very place where your identity is shaped. But here is the truth: you have the power to reclaim your mind. You have the authority to challenge every thought that does not align with love, truth, and hope. When fear says, you can't, you have the power to respond, I can. When shame says, you are unworthy, you can declare, I am worthy. This is not easy. It is a daily battle, sometimes an hourly one. But every time you choose truth over lies, you are tearing down the stronghold the enemy has built. I will not pretend that this journey is simple or that victory comes without scars. You will stumble. You will have days when the weight feels unbearable, when your progress seems invisible, when you wonder if it is even worth continuing. Those are the moments when you must cling to hope with both hands, even if it feels like hope is slipping through your fingers. Remember, this healing is not a straight line. It is messy, unpredictable, and often painful. But every step, no matter how small, is still progress. You are not failing just because you are struggling. Struggle is proof that you are still fighting, proof that the darkness has not won. When the voices of anxiety and depression grow loud, drown them out with voices of truth. Surround yourself with people who will remind you of your worth, who will speak life over you when you cannot speak it over yourself. Fill your mind with words of hope. Whether through scripture, poetry, music, or affirmations, your environment matters more than you think. Demons may hide behind your thoughts, but they cannot survive in a space saturated with love and light. Create a sanctuary for yourself, even if it is just one small corner of your room, where you can go to breathe, to pray, to remember who you truly are. There is also immense power in gratitude. It may seem impossible to feel grateful when you are in the depths of depression or consumed by anxiety, but gratitude is not about ignoring your pain. It is about finding small sparks of light in the darkness. Start with the simplest things: the warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of a bird outside your window, the fact that you made it through another day. These small acknowledgments create cracks in the walls the enemy has built around you, letting light seep in little by little. And as that light grows, so does your strength. The demons that hide behind your anxiety and depression will try to convince you that you are powerless, but they are the ones who are truly afraid. They are terrified of what will happen when you realize who you are and whose you are. They tremble at the thought of you stepping fully into your purpose, because your purpose will bring healing not only to yourself but to countless others. The very battles you are fighting now will one day become your testimony, the the story you tell to set others free. Imagine that the thing that was meant to destroy you will become the very thing that saves someone else. I know there are days when imagining such a future feels impossible. On those days, hold on to this truth: you do not have to see the entire path to take the next step. Just focus on the step in front of you. Maybe today that step is simply getting out of bed. Maybe it is drinking a glass of water, sending a text to a friend, or taking a deep breath. Do not underestimate the power of small steps. Each one is a declaration that you are still moving forward, still choosing life, still refusing to let the darkness win. And as you walk this path, remember to show yourself the same compassion you so freely give to others. You would never look at a wounded friend and call them weak for struggling, so do not speak to yourself that way. You are not weak for feeling pain. You are not weak for needing help. You are human, beautifully and imperfectly human. The demons want you to hate yourself, to turn your pain inward until it consumes you. But self-compassion is a weapon they cannot touch. When you choose to love yourself in the midst of the battle, you are defying every lie they have ever told you. You may not realize it now, but there is a well of strength within you that has never run dry. It has carried you through every storm, every heartbreak, every moment when you thought you could not go on. And it will carry you through this too. That strength is not just your own, it is the strength of every ancestor who came before you, every prayer that has ever been spoken over you, every ounce of love that has been poured into you by the Creator. You are not fighting alone, even when it feels like it. There are unseen forces of light surrounding you, guiding you, cheering you on. The day will come when you will look back and realize just how far you've come. You will see the places where you once fell and notice that they have become altars of victory. You will realize that the demons that once tormented you have no power over you anymore, because you faced them and emerged stronger. And when that day comes, you will stand tall and speak boldly, knowing that your survival was never just for you. It was for every person who will hear your story and find the courage to fight their own battle. Until that day, hold on, breathe, speak life over yourself even when you don't believe it yet. Surround yourself with light, even if it feels faint. And remember, anxiety and depression are not the end of your story. They are chapters, yes, but they are not the conclusion. The conclusion has already been written by the one who loves you beyond measure, and it ends in victory. Demons may hide, but they cannot hide forever. Light always exposes darkness. And when that light shines fully in your life, the shadows will flee and you will rise, not just as a survivor, but as a beacon of hope for the world. Even now, as you sit in the weight of your own thoughts, as your heart beats heavy with fears you can't name and sadness you can't explain, know this: the darkness you feel pressing in around you is terrified of you. It would never fight you so viciously if you were not a carrier of light. The demons that hide behind anxiety and depression are not simply tormenting you for no reason. They are trying to extinguish something powerful within you, something divine, something that would change everything if you ever realized it was there. They know that if you rise, if you truly see yourself for who you are and step into your calling, their grip on you, and on others, will be broken forever. That is why the attacks feel relentless, why the heaviness sometimes feels unbearable. They are fighting to keep you from discovering your own strength. I want you to imagine a small seed buried deep beneath the soil. For weeks, maybe months, it sits in darkness. It feels the weight of the earth pressing down on it. It cannot see the sun, cannot feel the breeze, cannot know that there is anything above the soil but endless pressure and silence. That seed could easily believe it has been buried to die. But the truth is, it has not been buried, it has been planted. That pressure is not punishment, it is preparation. The darkness is not permanent, it is the beginning of growth. You are like that seed. Your anxiety and depression may feel like suffocating soil, like proof that you are being buried alive, but I promise you, there will come a day when you push through the surface and realize you were growing all along. And when you bloom, your light will be more radiant because of the darkness you overcame. Demons hide behind anxiety and depression because they are cowards. They are too afraid to face you directly, so they cloak themselves in disguises, using your own mind as their weapon. They convince you to doubt yourself, to mistrust your own worth, to believe that you are broken beyond repair. They whisper lies that sound like truth because they mix them with just enough reality to make them believable. They will remind you of every mistake you have ever made, every rejection you have ever faced, every heartbreak you have ever endured, until you begin to see yourself through the lens of failure instead of faith. But hear me clearly, you are not your mistakes. You are not your past. You are not the sum of every pain you have experienced. You are more than what happened to you, more than what they said about you, more than what you currently feel. It is so easy to forget this when you are in the midst of the battle. Anxiety has a way of making you feel like you are drowning in possibilities that will never happen, while depression makes you feel like you are trapped in a past that will never change. These two forces work together to keep you paralyzed, unable to move forward. It is a clever tactic, one the enemy has perfected over generations. If you are always looking ahead in fear or looking back in regret, you cannot live in the present, and the present is where your power lies. The present is where healing begins. The present is where God's voice can be heard most clearly. That is why one of the most powerful acts of resistance you can take is simply to be here, fully here in this moment. Breathe deeply. Feel your heartbeat. Remind yourself that you have survived every single moment up to this point, and that survival is evidence of strength. There are days when you will not feel strong. There are days when you will collapse under the weight of it all, when your tears will flow like rivers and your body will tremble from exhaustion. On those days, let yourself rest without shame. Rest is not weakness, it is resistance. Rest says, I will not let the enemy push me beyond my limits. I will not burn myself out to prove my worth. I will pause and trust that even in stillness I am enough. The demons want you to believe that you must keep striving endlessly, that you must earn your place in this world through constant motion and perfection. But you do not have to earn what has already been freely given. You are worthy simply because you exist, because you carry within you the breath of God Himself. When you begin to see your worth, the enemy will grow desperate. He will turn up the volume of those internal voices, making the anxiety louder, the depression heavier. This is not a sign of defeat. It is a sign that you are close to breakthrough. Just like a storm rages most violently before it passes, your spiritual battles will often intensify right before you step into freedom. Hold on during those moments. Even if your grip feels weak, even if you are holding on by the thinnest thread, do not let go. That thread is enough. You do not have to be strong every moment of every day. Sometimes your only job is to survive the night, to breathe through the darkness until the light comes again. There will be people who do not understand what you are going through. They may tell you to just think positive, to just get over it, to stop being dramatic. Their words may cut deeply because you are already fighting so hard just to exist, and their dismissal feels like betrayal. Remember this, their misunderstanding does not define you. Your journey is sacred, and not everyone is meant to walk it with you. Protect your energy. Surround yourself with those who see you, who honor your struggle, who remind you of your worth. And if you cannot find those people right now, know that they exist and they are on their way. In the meantime, be that person for yourself. Speak to yourself with kindness. Offer yourself the compassion you long to receive from others. Self-compassion is one of the most powerful weapons you have. Demons cannot thrive in a heart that is full of love, even love directed inward. They want you to hate yourself, to turn your pain into self-destruction, because that is how they win. But every time you choose to treat yourself with gentleness, every time you forgive yourself for not being perfect, you are driving them out. Love is the antidote to darkness. When you love yourself fiercely, unconditionally, you become a place where demons cannot hide. There is also power in gratitude, though it may feel impossible at times. Gratitude is not about denying your pain or pretending everything is fine. It is about finding small glimpses of light in the darkness. Maybe it is the warmth of a cup of tea in your hands, the sound of laughter in the distance, the way the sky turns gold at sunset. These small moments are reminders that beauty still exists, even in the midst of chaos. When you begin to notice them, you are training your mind to see beyond the lies of the enemy. You are creating cracks in the darkness where light can seep through. And over time, those cracks grow wider, until the light pours in and the shadows have nowhere left to hide. The demons hiding behind your anxiety and depression want you to believe that you are powerless, but you are far from powerless. You are a warrior, even if you don't feel like one. Every time you get up after falling, every time you take another step forward when you'd rather give up, you are fighting back. Victory is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes victory looks like making it through the day without surrendering to despair. Sometimes it looks like choosing to hope when there is no visible reason to hope. Do not underestimate the power of these small victories. They are building a foundation for the life you are meant to live. There will come a time when you will stand on the other side of this battle and see clearly what you cannot see now. You will understand why you had to walk through the darkness, why the nights were so long, why the fight was so fierce. You will see how every tear watered the soil for your growth, how every heartbreak shaped you into someone stronger, wiser, more compassionate. And when you see it, you will give thanks, not for the pain itself, but for the transformation it brought. You will realize that the very thing the enemy meant to destroy you was the thing God used to elevate you. Until that day, remember this: you are never alone. Even in the moments when you feel abandoned, there are unseen forces of light surrounding you, guiding you, protecting you. Your ancestors walk with you. Your prayers are heard, your struggles are seen. The demons may try to convince you otherwise, but their lies hold no real power. The truth is greater than their deception. The light is stronger than the darkness. And you are more resilient than you have ever imagined. When the anxiety rises and your chest tightens, when the depression presses down like a weight on your soul, pause. Place your hand over your heart and remember that you are still here. That heartbeat is proof of life, proof of possibility, proof of hope. Speak over yourself: I am loved, I am chosen, I am enough. Even if you don't believe it at first, keep speaking it. Words have power, and with every repetition you are reclaiming your mind from the enemy's grip. There is no shame in seeking help along this journey. Therapy, medication, support groups, these are not signs of weakness. They are tools of healing, gifts from God to aid you in the fight. You do not have to battle alone. Allow others to walk beside you, to hold you up when you are too weary to stand. Together you are stronger than any darkness. The demons that hide behind anxiety and depression may think they have the upper hand now, but they are mistaken. They underestimate the resilience of the human spirit, the unbreakable power of divine love. They underestimate you. One day you will rise, and when you do, your very existence will be a rebuke to every lie they ever told. You will shine so brightly that others lost in their own darkness will find their way by your light. And in that moment, the enemy will know he has been defeated. So hold on. Even when it feels like you have nothing left, hold on. The dawn is coming. The soil that once felt like a grave will burst open with new life. The chains that once bound you will fall away. And you will stand not as someone who was buried, but as someone who was planted, and who has now bloomed into the fullness of who they were always meant to be. And when that day comes, when the dawn finally breaks through the darkness you have been fighting for so long, you will realize that every breath you struggled to take was part of a greater story. You will see that every moment you thought you were breaking was actually a moment of becoming. The cracks you feared were signs of failure will reveal themselves as openings through which light entered you. The very places you once hid in shame will be the same places you now stand and speak with power. There will be no mistake, no question, no doubt. You will know that you were carried by a force far greater than the fear that tried to destroy you. And you will understand that every tear, every night you lay awake in silence, every prayer whispered in desperation, was heard, was seen, was gathered like precious jewels by the one who has loved you all along. But until that glorious day, there is still the now, the present moment where the battle rages. And in this present moment, you must remember that demons thrive in illusions. They are masters of disguise. They are clever in how they approach you, not barging into your life with obvious threats, but slipping quietly into your thoughts like smoke curling under a door. They come softly, almost tenderly at first, whispering words that feel like your own voice. They say, "You are not enough," and you believe them because it echoes the doubts already planted in you by the world. They say, "You will never be free," and you mistake their deception for truth because it matches the heaviness you feel. These spirits are ancient and cunning, well versed in the language of despair. Their greatest victory is not in destroying your body, but in convincing you to destroy yourself. If they can get you to see yourself as broken beyond repair, they don't need to lift another finger. You will do their work for them by silencing your own light. This is why awareness is such a powerful weapon. When you can see their tactics, you strip them of their power. Imagine being in a room with an invisible enemy. You stumble, you fall, you get hurt because you cannot see where the blows are coming from. But the moment you switch on the light, the enemy is revealed. Suddenly you can defend yourself. Suddenly you realize that the pain you've been feeling was never you. It was them. This is what happens when you begin to separate yourself from your anxiety and depression. You stop saying, "I am anxious," and instead say, "I am experiencing anxiety." You stop saying, "I am depressed," and instead say, "I am feeling depression." That small shift matters. You are not the sickness. You are not the darkness. You are the warrior standing against it. And oh, how those demons tremble when you make that distinction! They thrive on identity confusion, on convincing you that you are your pain, that you are your fears, that you are the labels the world has placed upon you. Because if you believe that lie, you will never try to fight. Why would you fight what you think is simply who you are? But the moment you understand that they are separate from you, that these feelings are visitors, not permanent residents, you take back your authority. You begin to see that you have always had the power to say, "No more." Sometimes the fight is not loud or dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet and relentless, like a river carving through stone over many years. The enemy counts on your exhaustion. He counts on you giving up before the breakthrough comes. He counts on the days when you feel too tired to keep going, when you begin to believe that nothing will ever change. But beloved, change often happens in silence, in the unseen spaces where roots are growing beneath the soil. You may not see the transformation yet, but that does not mean it isn't happening. Even now, healing is taking root inside you. Even now, strength is being built in the places where you feel weakest. Even now, you are becoming someone more resilient, more radiant, more unstoppable than you can imagine. When the heaviness feels unbearable, remind yourself that feelings are not facts. Anxiety screams something terrible is about to happen, but that is not a prophecy. It is a distortion. Depression whispers, "You will never get better," but that is not the truth. It is a lie. The enemy uses emotions like smoke screens, distracting you from the reality that you are safe, you are loved, you are held by grace. Breathe deeply and remember, just because you feel something does not mean it is forever. Feelings are waves. They rise, they crash, they recede. And you are the ocean. Do not underestimate the power of words in this battle. Words are seeds, and whatever seeds you plant will grow. If you constantly speak words of defeat, "I am broken," "I am worthless," "I will never be free," you are watering the enemy's garden. But if you choose to speak words of life, "I am healing," "I am strong," "I am loved," you are cultivating a harvest of hope. Even if you do not fully believe the words at first, speak them anyway. Faith often begins as a whisper, as fragile as a candle flame. Protect it, nurture it, speak life into it until it grows into an unshakable fire. And know this, you are allowed to rest while you fight. Rest is not surrender. Even warriors need time to lay down their swords and gather their strength. The world will tell you that productivity defines your worth, that you must keep moving, keep striving, keep proving yourself. But that is another lie. You are valuable even when you are still. You are loved even when you are not performing. Sometimes the most radical thing you can do is to simply exist without apology. Resting in your own presence is a form of holy rebellion against the forces that want to keep you frantic and exhausted. There will be moments when you cannot carry yourself, when your legs give out and your spirit falters. In those moments, let others carry you. Seek out community, whether through friends, family, or faith. Isolation is the enemy's favorite weapon because when you are alone, your thoughts echo louder and the lies seem truer. But in the presence of others who love you, those lies lose their grip. Do not be ashamed to ask for help. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is courage in its purest form. When you open yourself to others, you create space for healing to flow. And sometimes healing comes not from fixing, but simply from being seen and held. If you cannot find a safe community yet, create one within yourself. Become your own ally. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to a hurting child, with gentleness, patience, and compassion. When you stumble, forgive yourself quickly. When you succeed, celebrate yourself fully. This internal sanctuary will become a shield against external chaos. The demons that hide behind your anxiety and depression will find no entrance when your heart is fortified with love. Remember that healing is not linear. There will be days when you feel like you are moving backward, days when old wounds resurface, days when the darkness feels stronger than ever. Do not mistake these moments for failure. Healing is like the tide, it comes in waves. Some days the water recedes and reveals the rocky shore of pain. Other days it rushes in, cleansing and soothing. Both are necessary. Trust the process even when it feels unpredictable. Trust that every step, every stumble, every victory is part of a larger journey toward freedom. When anxiety grips you with racing thoughts, pause and breathe. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This simple act pulls you out of the swirling storm in your mind and grounds you in the present moment. When depression whispers that you are alone, challenge it by reaching out to someone you trust, even if it is just to say, I am struggling. Speaking your pain aloud disrupts the enemy's plan. It brings light to the places where darkness hides. And above all, pray. Prayer does not need to be eloquent or formal. It can be as simple as, God help me. Those 3 words carry unimaginable power. When you pray, you are inviting divine light into the battlefield of your mind. You are declaring that the fight is bigger than you, and you are not fighting alone. Even when it feels like your prayers are unheard, trust that they are moving mountains and realms you cannot see. There will come a time when the very demons that tormented you will flee at the sound of your voice. They will know that their disguises no longer work, that their lies no longer stick. You will stand tall, clothed in the armor of truth, and they will tremble. Because the most dangerous person to the kingdom of darkness is someone who has faced hell and come out shining. You are becoming that person even now. Every tear, every breath, every act of defiance against the darkness is shaping you into a warrior of light. One day, you will tell your story to someone who is standing where you once stood. They will see in you a reflection of their own pain, and your words will give them the courage to keep going. Your survival will become their hope. Your healing will become their roadmap. And in that moment, you will understand that none of this was in vain. So keep going even when the night feels endless. Keep breathing even when the air feels heavy. Keep fighting even when you want to surrender. You are closer to freedom than you realize. The dawn is coming, not just for the world, but for you. And when it comes, it will reveal a truth so radiant that it will banish every shadow. The demons that hide behind your anxiety and depression will have nowhere left to run. They will scatter, defeated, as you rise into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. You are not the darkness you are fighting. You are the light breaking through it. You are the proof that love is stronger than fear, that hope is stronger than despair, that life is stronger than death. And no matter how fierce the battle becomes, you will not be overcome. You were not created to live in bondage. You were created to shine, to heal, to inspire. Even now, in the midst of the struggle, you are becoming a beacon for others. Hold on, beloved. The light is coming, and when it comes, it will come through you.